The purpose of this video is to present the basics of solving simple equations. The video is not meant to be a comprehensive lesson. It is meant to simply be a quick review and serve as a refresher. You should be able to do basic arithmetic and should be familiar with signed numbers before you attempt the lesson. Let's get started. We need to remind ourselves of some vocabulary before we get too far into the lesson. The lesson involves solving equations, so we should remind ourselves of the definition of equations. An equation has an equal sign because we are looking for an unknown number. X plus 3 equals 7 would be an example of an equation because we're trying to find the number we can add to 3 to get 7. Another term you'll see quite frequently in algebra is the term variable. The variable in an equation stands for the unknown number. In this example, the variable is the letter X, but it can be any letter you choose. We use the letter X as a standard in algebra frequently. We can probably do this one, remember it was X plus 3 equals 7, in our heads and come up with a 4 to represent the variable, because 4 plus 3 does equal 7. We just need to review the process for getting those answers because they get harder, and they're not always going to be things you can do in your head. Our first example is very similar to the equation you saw at the beginning of the video. This one would be very easy to do in our heads. We know that 3 plus 4 equals 7, but let's look at the algebraic principles that make this true. What we're really trying to do is get the variable, in this case x, by itself. When you learn to do basic math, you probably learned there was an order of operations involving math, and there is an order here when we try to solve an equation. We want to get all variables on one side of the equation and numbers on the other side by doing all addition and subtraction and any division last. This problem won't have any division. If we look at the problem, we see a plus 4 attached to the x. We really want to try to get the x by itself, so we need to get rid of the 4. We do this by taking away a 4. Now the original 4 had a plus sign in front of it, so we do the opposite. We do that on both sides of the equal sign. Plus 4 minus 4 equals 0, so the 4's on the left go away. 7 minus 4 equals 3, so we have 3 on the right. That's how we get our answer. We can check our answer by plugging in. We want to plug 3 into the original equation. The 3 in red has been plugged in. The 7 on the left matches the right side of the equation. Sometimes when people can't do algebra, it's simply because they're not following a format that can be easily read. I'm not saying you have to do every problem like I've been doing them. However, if you haven't been successful before, it might be because you have tried to do too much in your head. Let's do one more problem involving addition or subtraction, and then we'll move on. This one has a minus 7 attached to the variable. We're trying to find out what we can subtract 7 from to get 10. We have a negative 7. So we do the opposite, which would be a plus 7. The negative 7 and the plus 7 cancel each other out. We now have m on the left and we have 17 on the right. We have our answer. We can also check this as before. Plug the 17 in, it's red. Sometimes this is a step that's left out. If we leave out the check, we have a greater chance of making a mistake. Our answers match at the bottom, so we know we're correct. Our next problem is a multiplication problem. We're trying to find out what we can multiply 5 to get 35. When you divide by the same number, 5 divided by 5, you get 1. We're going to use that fact to do these problems. We have a 5 attached to the x with no sign. That means this problem is multiplication. The opposite of multiplication would be division. So we will divide both sides by 5. The 5 cancels because 5 divided by 5 is 1. We are left with x on the left and 7 on the right. We can check these just like we did the others. Plug the 7 in and check the math. We're moving right along. We've looked at addition, subtraction, and multiplication. We have division left. Let's look at a division problem. In this problem, the variable is being divided by 2. The opposite of division is multiplication, so we will multiply both sides by 2. Let me demonstrate. I've put a 1 under my 2 because this looks like a fraction. When we multiply fractions, we can cross-cancel. That's what I've done here. That leaves me with an m on the left, and that's what I want. We have a 24 on the right, and that would be our answer. We want to check the problem too. We'll put the 24 in the original problem and check our math. You should pause the video here and check your math. You should practice the checking. I'll end the lesson with one that is a little more complicated. After the lesson, you will have a short quiz. The quiz will give you the opportunity to see if you've understood everything you've done today. Here's the last problem. Notice we have a 2 attached by multiplication and a 3 attached by division. We want to do the opposite of both. So we'll multiply by 3 and divide by 2. We'll do that on both sides. On the left, the 2's cancel and the 3's cancel. That leaves us with the x. On the right, we have a fraction, and we need to do the math with it. We end up with 63 over 2. We can leave it like this as long as our fraction is reduced. You still want to check it though. We will plug 63 over 2 into the original problem and just do basic math to check your answer. You should pause the video here and practice checking your work. Now you should take the following quiz. The quiz will have 5 problems on it. Focus on the process. The answer will be given to you after each problem. There will be a number listed as well as the process you should follow. Good luck.